Your parents' house didn't really bring in much money. What? I couldn't organize my thoughts in response to his words. I didn't understand what he was trying to say. Why are you so surprised? Of course I am. That house was a keepsake from my father. Nobody's living there anyway. What's wrong with me making good use of it? I felt angry at my too selfish husband, but he continued. Also, I bought a luxury condo for my mom with that money. Are you kidding? How much was it? $800,000. What, you have a problem with that? If so, we might as well get a divorce. It was the moment something inside me snapped. The thought of continuing to live with this man gave me goosebumps. Fine. Let's get a divorce. But you'll be the one regretting it. Then my husband turned to me with a triumphant look. Are you serious? No way that's happening. If he was going to say that, then no more holding back. I would let him feel my anger. 1 month later, he would appear as if he was a completely different person. By then, it was already too late. My name is Kristen, and I work as a designer at a design office. This office was originally started by my parents, and I took it over. I want you to take over the company. What? When my mother passed away from a stroke, my father, who had been devoted to his work, suddenly said that to me. In part, he was also a well-known designer. I feel bad about it, but ever since your mother passed, I've lost my drive. If you say so, you'll do fine. Losing a partner of nearly 40 years, it was perhaps natural to feel that way. That's how I decided to take over the company. The only regret I might have about my mother was that I couldn't get married while she was alive. Sorry. I have a job to request? Yes. What would it be? My encounter with Nathan, my husband, was through business transactions. Working at an advertising agency, he would regularly request work from me, deepening our relationship. Nathan. What kind of requests do you have today? Well, it's not about work today. What? Would you go out with me? I promise you won't regret it. Honestly, I was very hesitant to accept this proposal. All the men I had dated were terribly irresponsible with money. It seemed fine at the beginning, but the more we dated, the more apparent it became. That's why I was hesitant. Is that a no? Well, my father's presence pushed me hesitant back. I wanted to show him the bridal look I couldn't show my mother. It was also because I was turning 33 that year, and I felt the pressure. If you're okay with me. And so we started dating. If it turned out to be a mistake, I could always break up. That's what I thought at first. But before I knew it, we were married. The sofa is starting to fall apart. Oh. But it's still usable, isn't it? Let's keep it. Really? Then let's do that. It'd be a waste to throw it away. Nathan was a man who rarely spent money. He rarely bought anything beyond the bare necessities. However, that was part of a certain plan he had. 2 years into our marriage, on my birthday, a phone call suddenly ended our happy time. Is Dad okay? I guess I pushed myself too hard. This is no time to laugh. My father had collapsed at home and was taken to the hospital, lying in bed there. The cause was lung cancer. Parents are supposed to leave this world before their children, but I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't think it would get this bad. How bad is it? Then he looked down and fell silent. Seeing this, I understood. His condition was not good, and the moment was approaching fast. Why didn't you get checked earlier? It got bad right after you got married. And I didn't want to trouble you during your newlywed phase. Your mother would have done the same. Hearing those words, I struggled desperately to hold back my tears. I decided to go home for a while. I'm home. Welcome back. Where have you been? I was surprised you weren't at home. I remembered I hadn't informed him. Sorry. I just went to the hospital. Hospital. Did you hurt yourself? No, it's not that. I told him about my father's condition. He listened seriously to the story. I thought he was as shocked as I was to hear about my father's condition. However, after I finished speaking, he seemed to smile smugly for a moment. At the time, I thought I might have seen it wrong because it happened in an instant. I lost my father when I started working, so I understand how you feel.
Yeah.
Thank you. For now, let's do what we can. Right. If I keep grieving, it would only worry him too. A husband who cared so much wouldn't just laugh. From then on, he seemed to be even more considerate of both my father and me. And I felt a bit saved from my sunken heart. However, this conversation started to make him even more stringent about money. This dress seems to be fraying. Maybe it's time to replace it. What? It's still wearable. Don't say wasteful things. Oh, right. What are you doing? Come on, be more careful. I hadn't expected such a harsh rejection. And this was just the beginning. What are you doing? Huh? Suddenly hearing his voice from behind. I turned around to see my husband standing there with an angry expression. Why are you doing such wasteful things? But this is trash? What? It's still usable. What I had thrown away was the scraps from cooking vegetables. He was telling me to pick them out of the trash. Haven't you been taught not to waste food? Maybe, but this is. No excuses. I didn't understand why he was going to such lengths. In the end, I was forced by him to cook with those vegetable scraps. However, he did not touch the meal at all once it was made. Aren't you eating? You think I can eat that? You made it, so you eat all of it. If I even tried to leave a little, he would get angry again. It was a constant cycle. If it were just that, I might still have been able to bear it. But one day, I was shocked by his behavior. I'm home. Welcome back. He seemed to have been drinking, and was quite drunk. He was holding a bag in his hand. What's that? Curious, I asked. Huh? Oh, it's nothing. Then, he hastily hid it in his bag. Driven by curiosity, after confirming he was asleep, I checked inside the bag. Though it looked like a store bag from the outside, inside was a box for an expensive watch. I thought, even though he forces me to economize. Checking the price on my smartphone, it was easily over $10,000. I couldn't stay still and woke him up. What is it? What's this about? Did you look through it on your own? Why would this be in a store bag? Unabashed and rather defiant, my husband replied. So what? I bought it myself. You have no right to complain, do you? At that word, I couldn't back down. You make me eat garbage, yet you buy things like this for yourself? Isn't that strange? Then he became furious. Shut up. Suddenly, he pushed me. Unable to catch myself, I fell headfirst to the floor. Ouch. You fell on your own. Whether he was drunk or not didn't matter. He didn't even try to help as his wife lay on the floor, and simply went to sleep. For the first time since our marriage, I spent the night on the sofa. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of our misfortune. From that incident onwards, our conversations dwindled. The only consolation was my father. How are you feeling? Today, I feel like I could run around. What are you saying? That's impossible, you've never been athletic. That's not true. When I was young. Oh, I see, I see. By the way, is something wrong? It seemed I couldn't hide anything from my father. I thought about telling him everything. But I wanted him to spend his remaining time without any additional worries. So, I held back. While our time might be short, I still found solace in the moments spent with him. 2 months later, my father passed away peacefully in his sleep. He passed away, huh? Yes. Are you okay? It's a bit tough right now. While looking at my father on the bed, I wondered what to do next. I had expected some comforting words from my husband, but instead he said, "It's going to get busy from here." When I looked at him, he seemed strangely enthusiastic. It didn't seem like the appropriate reaction just after someone had died. I had to ask him again. "What do you mean? What do you mean?" "With the inheritance and everything. It's going to be a lot to handle, right?" "Huh? Is that what you're thinking about now? These matters are better handled sooner rather than later." I felt foolish for having even a sliver of expectation for him. After that, I was too preoccupied with my father's funeral and other matters to pay much attention to anything else. "I'll take care of the inheritance paperwork and such." "Okay." Despite knowing what relying on him might entail, it was too late by the time I realized. "What? What's up? Why has the family home been changed to joint ownership? It's better that way, right? It'll be safer in case something happens to you." "That's not the point. Don't be so angry. It's not like we're doing anything with it right away." From then on, it was like living under constant surveillance. I was always on edge. And my husband, who had always preached frugality, suddenly began indulging in luxury daily. "Why are you living so lavishly every day? Why not? What about all that talk of saving before? We don't need to do that anymore. It's almost time." Saying so, he opened a bottle of wine worth $500. At this rate, I thought our finances might collapse soon. That day, too, he brought home more luxury items. Of course, none of them were for me. "Did you buy more? What? Did you want some?" Talking with him only escalated my frustration. "Not really." Then, he dropped a bombshell. "By the way, your parents' house didn't really bring in much money." "What?" I couldn't organize my thoughts in response to his words. I didn't understand what he was trying to say. "Why are you so surprised?" I asked him right away. "Of course I am. That house was a keepsake from my father. Nobody's living there anyway. What's wrong with me making good use of it? Why didn't you discuss this with me?" "I don't have to. The house is in joint ownership now." Indeed, if the house was in joint ownership, he could sell it without my consent. But this wasn't just about that. My husband showed no sincerity at all. Anger swelled within me due to his selfishness. "And with that money, I bought a luxury condo for my mom." "You can't be serious?" I thought it was crazy to buy a luxury condo for his mother. I remembered her saying she was content with her current life. "How much did it cost?" $800,000. "What? Do you have a problem with that? If so, we might as well get divorced." "Are you serious?" No point lying about it. It was the moment something inside me snapped. The thought of continuing to live with this man made my skin crawl. "I understand. Let's get divorced. But remember, you're the one who will regret this." Then my husband turns his triumphant face to me. "Are you serious? There's no way that could be true." And seizing the moment, I decided to ask something that had been on my mind. "Since I'm leaving anyway, there's something I want to ask." "Sure, ask me anything." Nathan was oddly proud, his expression growing increasingly distasteful to me as I looked at him. What was the point of saving so much in the beginning? "Oh, that? I wanted to make sure my mother could live comfortably. So I was saving money for her. It appeared he was being sincere. But honestly, I didn't want to do that. It turned out your father wasn't as wealthy as I thought. I clenched my fist so tightly at his words, I wanted to punch him, but I restrained myself. Nathan continued speaking. Otherwise, why would I have married someone like you? So you were after the money?
Yeah.
I figured if I pretended not to care about money, someone like you would easily be deceived. His words were a bitter truth. My past struggles with money seemed to align perfectly with his manipulative plans. It was infuriating. I then realized something else. And the sudden spending spree? Right. Since your dad was going to pass away soon, I thought there was no need to save anymore. The inheritance turned out to be nothing much, but thankfully there was the house. You were foolish to agree to joint ownership. At this point, holding back was unnecessary. Be ready to face my anger head-on. I quickly prepared to leave the house. Having sold my family home, I had no place to return to and decided to stay at my office temporarily. Hello? About a week after I left home, I called someone I needed to talk to. Oh, Kristen. What's up? Sorry to call out of the blue. Have you heard from Nathan about the luxury condo? Luxury condo? What's that? You haven't heard? No. I was surprised that Nathan hadn't informed her. I sensed an opportunity. Actually, I went on to explain everything to my mother-in-law in detail. Before I knew it, more than an hour had passed on the phone. That boy? I'm sorry, Kristen. I had no idea it would come to this. We were never wealthy to begin with. It seemed Nathan had always wanted to provide comfort for his parents since childhood. After his father died, all his efforts had turned towards his mother. However, that didn't excuse his actions. Even so, there are right and wrong ways to do things. So, Kristen, do what you must. Are you sure? That could affect you. It's fine. A child's responsibility is also a parent's. It's better to wake him up for once. It will be tough on you, Kristen. Please don't worry. Actually, this is something I need to settle myself with. I was going to take revenge regardless of her consent. But now I thought I could do it without any worries. Moreover, Nathan had forgotten something crucial. A month later, Nathan appeared as if he were a completely different person. That day, as usual, I was at my office working. Hey. What's the meaning of this? What do you want, coming here all of a sudden? Why did I only get half from the sale of the family home? Can't you even understand that? Explain it. I decided to explain, if only to deepen his despair. Joint ownership means the property is divided among the owners. Didn't you get that explanation? Are you serious? That's what happens when you buy things for $800,000 that aren't suitable for your means. It's your own fault, isn't it? At that moment, I had been texting my mother-in-law. Oh, and your mother will be coming soon. Why is she coming? Why don't you ask her? 30 minutes later, my mother-in-law arrived. Why is Mom here? You tell me. She looked at me, who nodded back, showing that she understood the situation. I'm here to stop your recklessness. I'm not being reckless. I was just thinking of you. Did I ever ask you to do that? You didn't ask, but... Nathan was visibly shaken, clearly disturbed by the unfolding events. The condo you bought for me is too much for me. So, I'm giving it to Kristen. What? Why does it turn out like that? It's only fair. You sold her family home without even discussing it with her. Nathan was stunned by his mother's sudden proposal, speechless. I was equally shocked. Then it was my turn. Go, and I almost forgot. Here you go. What? What's this? Divorce papers. We said we'd get a divorce, but it wasn't official yet, right? So, please sign here. Wait a minute. If we divorce now, I won't be able to afford the payments for the luxury condo. What? That's not my problem. Then my mother-in-law chimed in. I seem to be intruding, so I'll leave now. I'll contact you later about the title change, Kristen. Thank you. I appreciate it. Mom, wait. I'll leave it in Kristen's hands. And with that, she left. With his only ally gone, Nathan was slumped over. Ultimately, he only had himself to blame. Ignoring his despair, I continued. Too bad, isn't it? We have nothing more to discuss, so could you sign it quickly and leave? I have a meeting coming up and no more time to spend on you. Don't you feel even a little sorry for me? Why should I? I'm the victim here. Then Nathan, looking almost tearful, pleaded. I'll go bankrupt like this. Can't you help me out just a little? What are you talking about now? Absolutely not, even if my life depended on it. I'm sorry for everything I've done, please. I'm sorry, but I can't stand to look at you even for a second. If you keep this up, I'll just call my lawyer, okay? No matter how desperate he became, I was not going to extend a helping hand. This was his punishment. Is there really no chance? You did this to yourself, so it's only right you deal with the consequences. I'll count to 10, and by then you better be gone, or I'm calling the police. I pretended to hold my phone to my ear. Nathan's face went pale, and he quickly left. There was nothing more he could do now but deal with the massive debt he had racked up. How did it go? He just gave up and left. I see. My mother-in-law sounded a bit sad. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. It turned out Nathan was left with nearly $500,000 in debt. This was the result of his own reckless actions. There was no room for sympathy. How are you? A month after the divorce, Nathan reached out. I'm fine, and you? I continued the conversation nonchalantly, considering it to be the last time we'd ever speak. So, about that. Just to be clear, I won't lend you money or help you out. I haven't even said anything yet. I could tell by your call. It seemed I had hit the mark. Then that makes it quick. You know how much debt I'm in, right? I get annoyed and sigh. I retracted my previous statement. It was pointless to get involved so much until after the divorce. I don't care, but you're on your own now. I don't know when you'll finish paying it off. Is that what you say to your ex-husband? Since you're an ex, I'm actually being nice by even talking to you. I really wouldn't want anything to do with you. You should be thankful. I never should have relied on you. Then live with that regret for the rest of your life. Bye. I was ready to start a new life in the luxury condo, determined never to marry again. This ordeal had taught me more than enough about the pains of a bad marriage.